Hi, welcome in another video on our channel. Today we are going to take a look at equipment and consumables rebalance that will come into the game in update 11.0. But before we get started, we would like to invite you to a giveaway. You can win one Tier 8 premium tank from the list in the description, or 1,000 gold. What do you have to do in order to participate? Just write a comment with your favorite change. Remember to include your nickname, user ID, and server you are playing on, so we can send you your rewards. Let's get into it then. In general, there will be a lot of smaller changes in this part of the game, which would take way too long to cover. Due to that, we've decided to only cover the most important ones. You will be able to see the rest of them on your screen by the end of this section of the video. The gun rammer will now reduce reload time by 5% instead of 7%. It will be most noticeable on tanks with high DPM that we're using it to boost this stat as much as possible. Calibrated shells will now provide a 3% higher bonus for AP and heat rounds, while being 2% less effective with HE. It will most likely help out low-pen heat tanks the most, while tanks with HESH might get a bit worse. Improved ventilation will from now on improve crew proficiency by 8% compared to the current 5%. Improving crew proficiency by a certain percent means improving all parameters affected by the crew by half of this value. For example, an 8% bonus to crew proficiency will improve reload, concealment, aiming time, view range, etc. by 4%. What does this actually mean? In a nutshell, ventilation will now be much better than a gun rammer. This is a big buff for all autoloaders and auto-reloaders that have so far been forced to use calibrated shells due to the weakness of vents. It will definitely be worth considering now. Improved optics will from now on provide a class-dependent bonus. Light tanks will have their view range improved by 11%, medium tanks by 8%, heavy tanks by 6%, and destroyers by 4%. It has been decided to do the same with the camouflage net. The camouflage bonus will be 2% for heavy tanks, 4% for medium tanks, 7% for light tanks, and 10% for tank destroyers. When standing still for more than 3 seconds, this value will be doubled. These changes mean that it is no longer worth it to run optics on basically any tank destroyer in the game, while both of these modules will become completely irrelevant for heavy tanks. Lights and meds, on the other hand, will most likely continue to rely on optics. The improved gun-laying drive will from now on improve aim time by 15% instead of the current 10%. This is yet another buff for autoloaders, which rely on this stat the most. This change, though, will also be useful for other classes. Supercharger, although it will also get a minor improvement, will become even more pointless. The toolbox will from now on only provide a 20% bonus to repair speed. Due to the fact that improved tracks are not used by anyone anyway, this is simply a nerf to the repair speed of all tanks in the game. And now it's the time for the biggest change in our opinion. The vertical stabilizer gets quite a big nerf. On the move accuracy bonus it provides will be reduced by 3 percentage points. The refined gun, on the other hand, gets a gigantic buff. Gun dispersion bonus it provides will be increased from 10 to 15%. If these changes come into the game, vast majority of tanks will now use the refined gun rather than stabilizer. 15% bonus to gun dispersion is huge. On the screen, you can see a comparison of gun accuracy on the Object 752 before the changes, with 1 after the changes. That is, with post-buff improved ventilation and refined gun. This buff will especially benefit tanks that rarely shoot on the move and have poor base accuracy, such as the KV-2, FV-215B 183, or Caliban. And now, as we mentioned earlier, you can see other minor changes. Now let's move on to the changes in consumables. The repair kit and the first aid kit will have their cooldown shortened by 15 seconds, while the automatic fire extinguisher by 20. The first aid kit and the fire extinguisher will also become free. The multi-purpose repair kit, by contrast, will renew 10 seconds longer. It looks like Wargaming is somehow trying to encourage us to use the first aid kit and the automatic fire extinguisher, and to nerf the multifunction repair kit a bit. But in our opinion, it will continue to be by far the most used consumable. Turbocharger's duration has been reduced by 3 seconds, and its cooldown by 10 seconds. A free version of this material has also been added, which is essentially the same thing, but a little weaker. The improved turbocharger will provide 5% less engine power, 1 km per hour less maximum forward speed, and 2 km per hour less rearward speed. Its cooldown will be reduced by 25 seconds. Adrenaline has received a slight nerf. Bonus to the gun's reload speed will decrease by 3%, while duration and cooldown will increase by 5 seconds. In case of reticle calibration, bonus to aim time and dispersion will be decreased by 10%. In return, its cooldown will decrease by 10 seconds. Duration of tungsten shells was shortened by 5 seconds, and its cooldown by 20 seconds. Intra-clip reload boost's duration will be increased by 5 seconds, and its cooldown will be reduced by further 10. And last, in our opinion, biggest change is to reactive armor. It will be 7% more effective in soaking damage, while its cooldown and duration will be reduced by 10 and 5 seconds respectively. In our opinion, these changes are rather positive. The problem, however, may be that they will significantly affect the game's meta. In fact, all tanks with autoloaders will gain significantly from these changes, while tanks relying on high damage per minute due to the nerfs to the gun rammer and adrenaline may lose a bit. Situation is similar for super heavy tanks, which have relied the most on armor or HP equipment. These changes might seriously impact game's balance, both for better and for worse. Reactive armor is also likely to dominate the tournament meta even more due to its improved damage absorption. And that's all for today. If you enjoyed our video, feel free to like it and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget about the giveaway. Bye!